Hi, honey, how are you? It's Teknikolour. I have another apartment renovation speed build for you. This one is San Myshuno's 2A Jasmine Suites, and I did this for my Legacy Challenge. Let's check it out. So I wrote this Legacy Challenge with my boyfriend, Cinnabon and Andy, and each of the generations of this Around the World's Legacy Challenge is focused on a different pack and the world that came with that pack. So for instance, right now I am very early on in generation 6, which is our city living generation. So we are using The Sims 4 city living and we are living in San Myshuno. This generation is actually kind of interesting because this is the second apartment that my sim, Gemma Wyndham, is going to be living in. She started out in a rundown sort of apartment, and I stream this every Tuesday and Thursday morning over on my Twitch channel, and my Twitch chat helped me decide where she was going to move for both apartments, but for the first apartment. So we were actually living in 18 Culpeper house, and that lot is both historic and spooky, which I thought was very interesting because the historic thing, we just can't move the plaque. It was really weird because we had the welcome wagon happen and she was not freaked out, but everyone else was, and there was no ghosts at all. There was nothing even remotely spooky happening on her lot, yet all of the other people were terrified, and she was just unfazed. Her father was a paranormal investigator. Maybe that's why. But like, realistically, like, she didn't go to work with him, so she shouldn't have been freaked out. I don't know. This time, she is moving into this apartment, 2A Jasmine Suites. And this is her nice apartment stage. So it's her second apartment. She, at this point in the game, has gotten married. We actually just did that earlier today on my stream, but she just got married, and pretty soon she is going to get pregnant and they're going to have a kid or kids, who knows? And then her parents will not be able to move in with her until she can and does afford a penthouse apartment. So the way I have it set up is she can live between 2 to 3 apartments. So right now we're in the second stage, of course, but the goal is to have her be able to afford a full penthouse after having started out in like nothing. Also, what's really interesting is with each generation, whenever the parents move back in with us, they kind of like get an inheritance, aka the parents' money. But they also have a new home buyer incentive, which is basically just 20K, in addition to their portion of the household funds. However, we decided to switch things up because Gemma's grandmother, Luella Wyndham, is rich. She's very well off. She was our cats and dogs generation. She had the best career. She is flourishing. I also made her immortal because she is in fact my favorite sim. But when we were basically moving Gemma Wyndham out and starting her on her own, she would have had like, I think she would have had 400,000 simoleons on her own. Like, that would have been her portion without the new home buyer incentive, which is specific to my Legacy Challenge. So we decided she was not going to get her own portion of the funds. She was just going to get the new home buyer incentive. So she started out with 20K and she had to afford her apartment. So she struggled for a little bit. She also got, I think it was like 5K from her husband when he moved in. And now we're probably around like 20 or 30K simoleons, but she has moved in officially to this apartment. So if you like this apartment and you want to see gameplay of this apartment, you can actually see it every Tuesday and Thursday morning. We're going to be living here until we can afford to move out and in a penthouse, which I really hope happens because I really want to live in a penthouse. So I currently live in an apartment. And it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle, I'll be honest. I love living in New York City. I love city living, and I'm excited to get to live my life through my Sims, which sounds really weird because I feel like usually it's the opposite. But this is going to be exciting because she is an arts critic. Her father was a food critic. Well, one of her fathers. Her other father was a spellcaster and paranormal investigator. And she is an arts critic, and her husband is a painter. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a very interesting concept for her whole generation. And I'm really excited to see where it goes. If you're also wondering, we were kind of obsessed with Crystal Creations when that stuff pack came out, and we did a lot. We did a lot with Crystal Creations, and now we can't because there's nowhere to charge that charging plate. So we can't really use any of the jewelry or any of the crystals. And eventually, maybe when we get to the penthouse, we'll be able to change that, but it's kind of like going back to basics and not having the cheats of gemstones because those things are amazing. But I don't know. I'm excited to see this challenge. It's also a much smaller build than I am used to. So I expect that we're probably gonna live in here for a while. I'm hoping that we're not going to have the penthouse until later in the lifespan of her father's. So I don't know. I think it's going to be really interesting. So if you're interested, I will drop the link to my Twitch channel down below. You might have also seen some previous speed builds from me having to deal with my legacy family, the Wyndhams. And if that's ever interested in you, now you can see about them. So while we're talking here about this floor plan, I just have to let you know, I so badly wanted a galley kitchen. I am not an open floor plan girly. I do not like an open floor plan. I very much prefer closed floor plans. I like having separate rooms. I like hallways. I do not like open living spaces. My boyfriend does. And I'm pretty sure every single person in my chat does. However, I don't. And I really struggled with this floor plan because I wanted it to be closed. I didn't want an open floor plan. And it took me a while. It took me a while to be comfortable with the look of this. And you can see that we struggled with the kitchen for quite a amount of time. We also were going to use the for rent counters for the longest time. And it just felt like, I don't know, Gemma has more of a modern vibe to her. So we went in a completely different direction. And once we made that switch from doing a older sort of apartment style to something more modern, the vibe of this build changed dramatically. And I am very impressed with the way that this all came together. We actually built this over 2 streams. So I'm gonna say it was about maybe 3 hours each stream that we were building, and it took us a bit. It took us a bit. You can see we went back and forth on what sort of wall paint we wanted to use. I knew I wanted some exposed brick. I knew I wanted some bold patterns. Thank you, Decor to the Max kit. I knew that there was a lot that I wanted to do. Plus, it didn't help that the new expansion pack, Love Struck, was announced, and we got to see the trailer. And there is a beautiful floral wallpaper in that I want to use so badly in this apartment, but I can't. So we'll probably end up having to use that in the penthouse when and if we get to that stage, which I hope we do. But it took us a long time to figure out this floor plan. I even had chat pitching in ideas and trying to figure out what would work. My favorite part about building on stream is the fact that chat can jump in and provide ideas, and I needed it. It took us a really long time to figure out the floor plan for this, and it really wasn't until we knocked down the walls in the kitchen and started to make something more open that it started to really come together. Like, I knew that we needed a room for the baby. I knew that we needed a primary room and we needed a bathroom. Originally, I wanted to fit 2 bathrooms in here, but I decided to just keep it with the one. There's no laundry, mostly because I think laundry would be more annoying than anything. Like, I would want laundry in my apartment, and I don't have laundry in my apartment. We have it in my building, but it's just a hassle. I would love to have it in unit, but poor Gemma, she doesn't have it in unit, but she doesn't really do her laundry, so it's fine. I knew that I wanted to use some of the items from Party Essentials, like the vinyl player that we have over there and the bar. Those items are just phenomenal. I'm just so impressed. I'm also weirdly using that divider that we just recently got in the Cozy Bistro kit. I'm obsessed. I'm using it behind the television, which you can't see just yet. It took me a really long time to figure out what furniture to use in this room, and I was asking chat for their input, and they went in a direction that I probably wouldn't have picked, but I ended up liking, and it was, I don't know, it was cute. It was cute. You also might be wondering, because you'll see towards the end of this speed build that there's a room that is completely unfurnished. There's literally just a door to it and nothing in it. There's no paint on the walls, there's no nothing, and that is the baby's room. And I did that because I needed to ensure that I would be able to afford to live in this apartment, and we didn't need it furnished for a baby. So I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm sort of like cheating the system. It's almost as if she moved in here, like she bought this apartment. Obviously she's still paying rent, so she didn't, and she will be able to furnish that room when she can afford to. Which technically I guess she can now. I'm still wondering if I want to take my Sims on a honeymoon. I kind of feel like she's the type to not honeymoon. I don't know. I'll have to decide. I also knew that I wanted to have the air conditioner from For Rent, and I wanted it to be installed in the window, which we can't really do in The Sims 4. So I used the tool mod to kind of just position it in a way that it looks like it's in the window. Obviously, you can't really tell, but there's literally a radiator right here with a window unit air conditioner. That's apartment living for you. And I don't know, I kind of wanted to recreate that. So we've also got the For Rent radiators, which I think are incredible. We had radiators in the game before, I think maybe from Vampires, but the ones from For Rent are top tier. They look like the radiators that you would have in an apartment like this. They look like my radiators. I also struggled for a while to try to figure out how to include an office space in here. Like, I knew that the hallway was going to be a little bit larger because the rooms didn't need to be quite as big. So we have a bathroom and we have the baby's room that didn't need to be quite as deep. And I knew that I could fit in like a computer desk. I just wasn't sure how to format it. And then once I figured out that I had that little alcove, I was obsessed. I think we end up sort of removing that wall, and we might have even done that today because, again, Gemma did move in here today. However, we also brought her immortal cat, Pickles, which was also her grandmother's cat, who we just keep aging down with the age down treats. And she needed some space for her things. So I forgot that we needed a cat tree, we needed some beds, we needed a pet food bowl, we needed a litter box. There was a lot that I didn't calculate when I was building this apartment, so we had to sort of find a room for everything. And actually, the room where we have, see, that's the thing. I don't know if there's that little room that's in the living room, right where the curved windows are. And I knew that, well, I wasn't sure if we needed access to that like electrical box. I don't really know why that's there, and I feel like it's not functional, but I was afraid that it might be. So I do have that accessible which we might change. I had it set up with the bookcase door, the door that's kind of badly disguised as a bookcase, and I think it looks okay. I was actually gonna hide the litter box in there, but for some reason the cat couldn't find it. Pickles was unable to access it. We're not really sure why. I think there just wasn't enough room between door opening and the cat being able to get inside. So we ended up having to move the litter box. It's fine. Also, normally my speed builds end up being a little bit on the longer side, so I usually have to cut out some footage. And I actually did cut out a lot of the back and forth figuring out the floor plan, because again, it took us 2 streams, so I was able to cut out a lot of that. However, I usually don't include bathrooms in my speed builds. Obviously, I build them and then I show them off in the tour, but I usually don't go crazy and show them in the speed builds themselves. However, I'm showing this one because it's just one small bathroom and we just had to show off the entire apartment. Otherwise it'd be like, you'd barely see anything. And I really love the way that her bathroom has turned out. It's very pink, which is sort of the vibes that I get from Gemma. It's very interesting because her grandmother, Luella, was like very pink and yellow. More specifically yellow, and Gemma seems to have a little bit more of that pink and yellow in her personality and the colors that we use. Her bathroom is pretty pink, and if I could have made it more pink and made it look, I don't know, nicer altogether, I would have. And it's kind of a nod to my grandmother's bathroom. My grandmother lived in New York City as well in an apartment, and she had the pinkest bathroom. And I don't know, as a young gay boy, I was obsessed. It was like Barbie Dreamhouse realness. And I know that my parents sometimes watch my YouTube videos and they're gonna be like, what? Because it was not serving Barbie Dreamhouse. But to me, it was. I also remember when I was younger, I feel like I used to demand to take a bath at my grandmother's house, like every single time. And I'm pretty sure that was why. I'm pretty sure that was why. I also just loved being in the bath, I think. As some of you may know, I am obsessed with The Little Mermaid and probably always wanted to be a merman myself, but whatever. I also decided to do some exposed brick in her bedroom as well. It also took a while to figure out how to mix and match all of the patterns in her bedroom so that it wouldn't be overwhelming, but would also be more cohesive together. And I think the fact that I was able to use a lot of the items from the decor to the Max kit, as well as some of the items from City Living, that they sort of meshed well together. And I thought it all came together pretty nicely. This is not a sort of style that I would normally build in. I probably would not gravitate towards these designs on my own in a build. So it was really exciting, but a little scary. A little scary to do all this. It also took me a while. You might have noticed in the main living space, like in the living and kitchen space, it took me a long time to figure out what curtains to use. And it took me even longer to figure out what curtains to use in her bedroom. And I think it's because I'm not used to building on the tallest wall height. And these walls are tall, so it was really hard because the windows are really small. And I know that now that they've made that patch that we can actually change the windows, either the placement and the windows in general in the City Living apartments. I just didn't want to because I didn't want it to look that different from the exterior. I feel like it would be weird to have like completely different windows on one floor. So I kind of kept everything the same. We only eliminated one of the windows, but I wish, knowing that these are tall wall height, I wish we had larger windows. It just feels like it would have made sense. But what are you gonna do? The apartments in City Living, I don't know. The San Myshuno apartments, they're just big, in my opinion. I know it was really difficult for me to figure out the floor plan for this, but I think it's because there were a lot of limitations. Like, it's very odd to me that the hallway for these Jasmine Suites is so large. There's almost no reason why the hallway has to be so large. And also it's really weird that the floor is like the base concrete floor. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure it is. And our apartment door is different from our neighbor's apartment door, and that's not typical in buildings like this. Normally everyone has a very standard door, and if there isn't, the management company is going to want them all standard. It's like a thing. And I don't know, ours also has like the window cutouts, which I think is just really weird for an apartment. I actually wish that we could have changed our door or even put a wall around it. You can see that I actually use the curtains from the Cozy Bistro kit because I was just like, I need something covered. Like I would do that. I would get like a magnetic curtain that I could just put on top of my door if that was the case, but I probably wouldn't feel safe having like windows in my door in general, let alone like in a city living apartment, you know? So it was very interesting building this. I am glad that we were able to come up with an apartment that looks like it fits Gemma, because her last apartment didn't really. I knew with the rundown apartment, like 18 Culpeper House, and the Culpeper House apartments in general are not rundown in my opinion. Like we also picked one of the ones that, I don't know, we could have done more to make her life harder. And I don't know, I feel like we kind of went the easy route. So Twitch chat, you are more than welcome to punish me a little, make things a little bit harder in the legacy challenge if we run polls. But I liked the layout of that apartment, or I liked the bones of that apartment. Obviously, you can see my last YouTube video, we ended up completely gutting it and building what I wish her apartment looked like. And to be honest, I might like that apartment better than this one. I think this one probably fits Gemma more because I kind of lost the plot. I lost the plot in that last build. So last week's YouTube video, I renovated 18 Culpeper House and it was beautiful, but I feel like it more fit me. Like it more fit like what my apartment would probably have looked like and less what Gemma's apartment would look like. But this one is actually built specifically for Gemma because I knew we were going to be playing in this one. And I don't know, I think it fits her. I think it fits her. It's also really interesting because her husband, she has been friends with since they were children, and they're really cute together. It was between two different friends who I thought she might end up with, and it's the original guy that I thought she would end up with, that she ended up with. And it was really cute. Also, another one of her childhood friends, we just had her wedding on today's stream, and that friend took his clothes off in the middle of the reception. It was the weirdest thing. Like we had ended the event because it just like wasn't ending on its own. Like there was no timer. And I was like, okay, I think we're done with the wedding. It's like 4 a.m. and it was raining at this point. And he just straight up like took off his clothes, and then somebody like reacted to him, and then he put his clothes back on and everyone laughed. I was like, what is happening right now? But yeah, that's kind of the chaos that you can expect to see on my Tuesday and Thursday morning streams. And it's also very exciting because I am also in the EA Creator Network. So occasionally, because of EA gifting us codes to give away, we can give away certain packs. Sometimes we also have early access. So I am expecting to have early access for Love Struck. So once that happens, I'm going to be posting more about that expansion pack, which I am so excited for. But I'm also really excited to announce that if you would like to purchase any The Sims 4 DLC, which I think the sale is currently still happening, you can use my creator code now. So I was given a creator code because I'm now an EA affiliate, and you can use my code Teknikolour. And it is not a discount code, unfortunately. We would love them to be discount codes. but instead it supports me and my channel. So anytime you use my code when you are purchasing any Sims 4 DLC, a portion of the proceeds from that purchase will be taken from EA and given directly to me. So I highly urge you, if you're not going to use my creator code, use somebody's creator code. There are so many lovely creators out there, and everyone can use that extra help. And if you decide to use it on me, I would be so honored. But yeah, I'm very excited for Love Struck. I'm very excited to see where the rest of this city living generation takes us. So I don't know. If you want to follow me over on Twitch, just a shameless plug, I'll be dropping the link down in the description below, but I'd love to see you in chat. Around now though, we are putting the finishing touches on the speed build. So why don't we pop into the game and I can show you around a little bit. So if you watched last week's YouTube video, you know that Gemma Wyndham was living right over here, and now she has moved into this building right here. This is Gemma Wyndham. She is the star of our Legacy Challenge right now. And this is her new husband over here, Colin. And he's a cutie. And actually, right here is Pickles the cat. Here is the living space and the kitchen over here. We have the hallway here. You can see where I added in some of her stuff, and the bathroom, and then her bedroom over here in the back. And I am just so excited to get to live in this building, and I hope you enjoyed this speed build. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you never miss a future video. And if you would like to see more content like this, but live, again, you can check me out over on Twitch. But I will catch you in the next video. Have a good one. Bye-bye.